Quite often, we're put into these awkward situations where our messages or texts are left unread, basically meaning someone did see your text and chose not to reply. There are several reasons as to why a guy may not respond to your texts, and today we'll be taking a look at a few. Just so you know, it does not necessarily mean he's ignoring you. Relax. But before we get into that, if this is your first time stopping by our channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button, tap that notifications bell, and drop a big thumbs up. Here are the reasons why he didn't respond to your texts. First of all, he might just genuinely be busy. Generally, that would only make sense if he texts you back hours or even a day or two after having read your message. He should later apologize and explain his absence. However, if he waits a week or more, that's something else. If he sends you back a "sorry, I was busy" without an explanation text, that's probably not it. He couldn't have been so busy for an entire week he could manage one text. No. He's lying to you. Basically, if a guy apologizes after not responding to your texts, he probably didn't mean to leave you unread. And if you've been waiting too long, then you've got something to think about. Another reason why a guy may not be texting you very often is because he might back off a bit because he's starting to think things are getting too serious. Now, if you guys are getting pretty hot and heavy and you've gotten to a point where you're just thinking to yourself sometimes, wait, what are we? Are we considered a couple? Are we just friends? And he suddenly backs off a little and stops responding to your texts, he's probably getting worried this is getting too serious. However, if he stops responding forever, then that means he's already gone. Sorry, but this is how it is. Our third reason as to why he might not be texting you back is simply because he's not interested and he's hoping you'll just take the hint. This would get quite obvious if he just doesn't text back and doesn't reply to your next text, or if he does eventually reply, he would just give one of those weird, vague one-word answers that would make you want to scream. However, if a guy apologizes quite often and acts like he cares, that could not be the case. He might even put in some extra effort sometimes, and that would just mean that he's been busy. However, if the guy does cut you off, it means he wants to cut you off. And he can't really tell you, and so he chose to slowly let your relationship die out. It's a cowardly move, of course, but yes. Another reason would be he forgot. Yes, it happens. If he doesn't respond to a text for a few hours, and then maybe a day, maybe a few weeks, after having read your message, that doesn't mean he doesn't care about you. He probably wanted to respond to you, but he'd been doing something, so he just forgot. Another reason why a guy may not be responding to your texts is because he's seeing someone else. Now, this hasn't got anything to do with relationships, necessarily. It could be friendships as well. If he never answers your texts, or if he only answers them sometimes then abruptly stops answering some other times, he's probably seeing someone else. If you've been talking all the time and you've been fun and then he just randomly stops, it's because he's found someone maybe even more fun. It's as straightforward as that. Unfortunately, you'll only know if you do some quality Facebook stalking, or if you talk to him, of course, you can do that too. Or he could be ghosting you. Ghosting you is basically when he stops answering completely and basically just disappears and you have no idea why. Is it something you said? Probably not. He's just too scared to tell you that he's not interested in talking to you at all anymore and just simply ghosts you. It's a truth that's hurtful to hear, but it is the truth. Sometimes maybe even a guy really likes you, and he doesn't respond simply because he just doesn't know what to say. This can be quite obvious when he stops answering during a dull conversation, or if the conversation was dying and he just didn't want to formally end it. It's not the same as going days or weeks without responding to you. If the conversation is dying out and he just stops answering, then yeah, it's possible he just didn't know what to say, so he decided to just say nothing. Another reason why he might not be texting you is simply because he's just terrible at texting, and some people are like that. He's very inconsistent, everything he says is boring, and he has some guy phrases like, "LOL, I hate texting. Hey, you good? Cool. Good night." He is responsive, however inconsistent. Some people do suck at texting. You probably know a friend who does, don't you? And so those were 8 things a guy really means when he doesn't answer your texts. Let us know in the comments below. Do you know a guy who does any of those 8 things? And if you do, tell us about it. And don't forget to drop a big thumbs up.